everyone, my name is Aya Yadi and I'll be your host for today. Solution architect broadly skilled in designing enterprise data management solutions for organizations with cloud and on-prem systems. Designed and executed data integration, migration, master data management, and data quality projects for various domains like manufacturing, retail, and construction industries. In this presentation, Philip will discuss how to create your data-driven organization and the important roles that data analytics, AI, and active metadata management play. Please give a warm welcome to Philip.
Hey, good morning, all. Hey, thank you, Aya. Hey, this is Philip from Changes. I'm a solution architect associated with Changes from day one. It's about a long journey within Changes for me, and I'm happy and excited to be here to present this to you all. Let's start, with our topic today. I'm going to discuss on the topic that says, when you have it in your screen, it's how to create your data-driven organization. Let's get into the agenda. In this slides, we will slowly start with to understand what is really the data-driven organization is all about. And then we will touch base a little bit why the data should drive the organization. Before we getting into the actual steps and characteristics, it's better to understand these two, at least at the high level. And then we'll slowly jump into the topics like, what are the key characteristics of a particular data-driven organization, right? And what are the steps that needs to be followed to achieve the state of data-driven organization. Then next comes into the picture of who's going to play a role and what are their responsibilities. After that, we'll talk about some of the challenges that is going to be facing, especially when you are in the transition mode. To the end of this session, we will definitely talk about the tools, how to select my own data governance management tool, which will really help me to get into all the steps that we are going to talk about, right? Because achieving data-driven organization, it's not easy, but it has a lot of steps that needs to be overcome. So how do I even look for, what are the things that I'll be looking into to select a particular tool? We'll talk about it in detail. And absolutely for last 10-15 minutes, I will leave it for the open questions for the audience. What is data-driven organization? In the entire industry, right? So the concept of utilizing the data for any decision-making process is not relatively new. It's been there for several decades. But however, in last couple of decades, if you see, there are numerous number of tools and techniques that were emerged and played a major role in changing the landscape of the entire business process and the innovation. There are multiple companies, we can give an example for it. As you know, the big giant, Google, Amazon, and we can just name it. It's a huge list that goes up, who are making like billions and billions of dollars in money. Let's come to the definition. How do you really define the data-driven organization? So it is an organization that effectively and consistently utilizes the data in their decision-making process across all levels of the organization, which is the key. So what this means is the data is not just for the top level executives or for the data analyst or for data scientist. It is supposed to be for all the people within the organization, because each one in the organization has a role to play in the entire data process. And it can be achieved not just by collecting the data, but make sure we understand the data, make meaning out of it, and utilize the meaning to make the strategic decisions, which will ultimately increase your productivity and delight your customers, which is obviously key to be successful in this entire industry. The next, right? So why should the data drive the organization? It's a big question mark. Most of us here would agree that the data is one of the valuable assets within the organization. However, do you know that the data could be referred to a gold mine if we really understand and interpret and uses the data in decision-making process. And it will definitely uplift your organization to the new level by helping reducing the cost and improving the business process. I have taken a couple of links from the web, especially the research outputs. So these research outputs that says like 81% of the organizations agrees that the data should be at the heart of all the business decision making, which is key. And there is another research done by the PwC that they are claiming the data-driven organizations can really outperform their competitors by about like 6% in terms of profitability and about 5% in productivity. And these are the market research papers available, which really showcase that the data should drive the organization. I hope you get some clarity on, now why we should really get into this conversation of data-driven organization. Let's talk about the characteristics. As you know, when we talk about data-driven organizations, there are so many characters. If we really need to deep dive, we can talk about this for hours together. But I would like to just highlight few important and key aspects of it. It always starts with something called data literacy. So what does this data literacy means? And who are the people who should have literacy in the data? Sometimes we have a misconception that, oh, this data is only for the IT team. And data is only for the executive, who will just see the reports. It's not that. So the people in the entire organization should have the literacy, and they should have a high level of data literacy on the area that really they are working in. Apart from that, you must have the characteristics like you should have predictive and prescriptive analysis and data analytics and proactive artificial intelligence, etc. But all in terms should help the real-time decision-making process in the organization. Say, for example, if I'm getting all my report in a monthly basis or a weekly basis, guys, the market is really going fast. So you have to have the real-time reports to make the decisions appropriately on time, which the moment you start making the real-time decision-making, you will be ahead in the market game. Let's move on to the next topics of the steps, right? So what are the key steps that I need to follow to make my entire organization into a data-driven mode? People always say, oh, consolidate my data, right? So what does consolidation means? Is it just collecting the data and just putting it together so that my data analyst or scientist can use? It's not just collecting the data. It is about cleansing the data and enriching it to make sure the data is complete and consistent. That is the key. So without having if you have an inconsistent data, any report that people are going to view or the analyst is going to make or the data scientist, they're going to predict, nothing is going to be accurate. So you have to have a complete and clean data to get into the next step. So consolidate, it doesn't mean just collecting. It is about cleanse and enrich your data to make sure it is usable for your need. The second piece is the effective data governance. So effective data governance brings the meaning to an organization's data. It adds trust and understanding to an organization data through stewardship and a robust business glossary, thus accelerating digital transformation across the enterprise. But people say what it means and how am I going to really achieve this? Two things that I talked about: data governance, consolidations. All these can be achieved by investing into the right data set tools. So what does that mean? So I should just go and buy what is available in the market? No, first you have to evaluate and then go. We'll talk about how to, what are the things that you need to take the right tools into the market. I mean, available in the market. So for example, even if the data is readily accessible, right, it won't help the business really if the people in the business, that employees can't really understand what they have, or if they don't apply to the business problems. What should I do if my employees needs to understand my data? We have to invest in the right data tool sets, and that is going to fuel your accelerate. That's going to act as a fuel to accelerate your data literacy within the organization. That's why I keep telling the data literacy is not just at like one level or two levels for the organization. It's for all the people within the organization, but each level, the literacy, what they are supposed to be doing is slightly different. That's all it's all about. Data visionaries are the people, they have a big picture about the data and understand all the ways that employees can use the data to improve the business. But if you really feel, I don't have anybody like this, then this is the time to go and hire the people. Because without the data visionaries, if you don't have a vision, you will not be able to make steps and achieve. In fact, these visionaries can also help you to understand, help you to identify the right people like data analysts, scientists, engineers, business analysts, who are all going to be, playing a major role in achieving these steps at every stage. There are a few more things on the key steps. The next is the employee empowerment. So all the employees, first of all, should feel comfortable in taking initiatives, when it comes to suggesting a ways that the data might be used. This is a kind of, giving a genuine ownership to the work that the employees that they do on their career path. In fact, some of the market researchers that shows that the company's focus on the employee empowerment gives higher productivity when compared to an organization who are not focusing on their employee empowerment. So it is about giving the responsibility for them to take a decision on their own on a smaller steps. The next step is to hold the employees accountable. So what does this mean? See, the technologies and tools, whatever we have, it can take the business only to an extent. But all these technologies are really going to be used by the human and by the employees, right? So we have to make sure the employees are accountable for a small or a medium set of goals. And this will ensure that these employees, will be using the tools in a right manner. And of course, to achieve this, what the organization can do is to make sure they put right incentives in place to encourage the employees to use the technologies and tool. And you should give a path or a way to measure and grade the progress, toward the self-service culture. As you know, this self-service culture is again a big topic, but I just want to make sure to highlight this is also going to help you in terms of bringing or building your data-driven organization in a much mature level. One of the key important aspects in the steps is we have to develop the data-driven mindset. Especially, say, for example, somebody in a strict organization for a long period of time, it is very difficult to convince them to showcase that, hey guys, the data, you have to rely on data always. So this is the foundation for improving the key performance metrics for our entire business. So next, when we talk about different steps, right? So each step can be achieved with multiple, people within the organization, right? So there are different roles and responsibilities that people would play. So I'm trying to bring out at a high level a quick diagram on how many different type of people involved in this entire transition process, right? So it starts with you have a platform and you have a platform admin, and then the data engineers who is going to work collaboratively with almost every different teams, including data analysts, scientists, legal teams, security. Ultimately, all the people are rolling over to the CIO or CTO level. And of course, enterprise architects are going to play a major role as well. In fact, I'm not going to discuss about everything in detail, but let's just understand some differentiations between the data analyst, data engineers, and data scientists. So what are the data analysts? Who are they, right? So these are supposed to be part of the functional groups, and their job is to transform the business questions or the business problems into the real queries, converting that into a queries on the available set of data sets. That's their job. So they're not the one who's going to probably sit and do your coding, maybe writing a SQLs or something like that. The next comes to the engineers, right? So these are the people who are responsible for getting the data into the data platform. Say, as of today, I mean, most of the organizations having operations in multiple countries, multiple regions, having multiple systems in place. So you have to collect the data, consolidate and enrich. So the responsibility of consolidating the data, cleaning the data, and then enriching it and making sure the data is complete. This is the job for the engineers. And this is the data which is going to input the data, scientist, and which will be read by the data analysts as well. So then what are the data scientists, what they are going to do is these are the members and these are the team. This is the team who will be, heavily involved in using the statistical analysis and machine learning and deep learning, etc. And please note that nowadays all this data mining tools are available, and there are a lot of platforms that directly supports. So this is the team who will be using these tools and techniques to have a predictive and prescriptive analytics. And the other tools like other teams like compliance and security team, obviously they are going to play a major role, because whenever you do a transition, you have to be a little bit of careful about handling the data, because the compliance team, who are the professionals, I mean, they will be making sure the compliance like HIPAA, GDPR, SOX, and based on the region or based on the industry that you are in, they are, I mean, this is the team, they should ensure that you are following the standards according to the compliance needs. And the security team is the one who will be really implementing that compliance and auditing it as needed. And again, if we talk about security, we can talk about network security, data security. It's again a big topic, but however, their intervention is very much required, which is going to help the team to make sure that the entire organizations to make sure they are succeeding in a right path. The last team that I would like to talk about is the line of business users, right? So these are the users are the one ultimately, making the decisions using the data. And please note that this is not the people who will be producing the reports, but who will be using the reports or utilizing the reports and the analytics to make their decisions. The roles and responsibilities that I covered right now is predominantly will cover entire areas of the details that is required to follow all the steps to achieve the data-driven organization. Let's go to the challenges, right? So what are the different challenges that we would be facing it, especially when you take an initiative to make sure your entire organization is going towards the data-driven mode? First and foremost, we always face that there is something called decentralized and non-conforming project. What it means, most of the cases, what happens nowadays, people buy different tools, different tool sets, and based on regions for the same operations, people are using, different applications. So data are kind of all the data were used silos in silo mode. So any data analytic that you are going to be doing it, all are done independently at the individual regions, which means it is scattered across all the enterprise, in a little, in a small bits and pieces, and on a silo mode. And the second part is the talent gap, right? So most of the companies have never hired people with a good data instinct skill set, are made. It's a priority to do so. As long as they have their regular report, they have their data feed coming up, they're happy and just going with the normal conventional way. I mean, that mindset has to be broken. You have to utilize the data, especially again the features that we talked about in the past slides, like make sure we have the prescriptive and predictive and prescriptive analysis, and have the proper data scientist in place to fill the gap. The third, obviously, the poor data governance. Again, we can talk about number of reasons for the poor data governance. It's because of data, existing in multiple places, multiple regions, multiple individual people maintaining it. There is no centralized, governance mechanism that is implemented. But all these results in data quality. Ultimately, what will happen is the more and more distributed data that you have, more and more problems, the complexity of consolidation and cleansing will exponentially increase. The next piece is kind of fear of failure culture, right? So few IT teams try to make some other companies, the IT teams, always make sure things it doesn't break first. So any change that business is asking, people will put so much of effort on to understand, hey, I just want to make sure it doesn't break what is going to happen. What is happening in today's world. But in the meantime, they're forgetting to, calculate or measure the quantity or the quality of the improvement that's going to happen in a long run. A lot of cases, people are just happy with whatever, reports, and they spend time on just getting the day-to-day reporting needs rather than supporting the decision support. Rather than supporting the decision support systems. The last is about the complex new architecture and security. And there are lots and lots of companies, pretty much satisfied with what they are doing it on the day-to-day basis with the legacy old systems. Even though there are certain things manually, they're happy to do it rather than investing on the new technology and the architecture. And one way, it's kind of a myth. They feel that it's really complex and difficult. On the other hand, without having a clear understanding, when they try to build, they really make things worse. So, which means, for example, the moment they have a high volume of data, they themselves have a fear of feeling that, hey, guys, like this seems to be really hard in terms of understanding the new technology and features. But they should have an open mind to, first of all, get into know what's there in the new technology and how it's going to really help me to do things better in future. Okay, so the next topic, I would like to spend kind of at least next a good amount of time on the tool selection, right? So how do you select your tool? The first and foremost, choose an option where you have no code or a low code solutions. Of course, we have to go for a no code, but worst case, hey guys, like I have a complex business needs. I did my thorough analysis of entire products in the market. I don't get to have anything. Then try to have the code as much as low possible, so that the reason for approaching that is, right, so we have technologies keep changing it in every year, every few years. So the moment you write some code today, after a few years, you get into the newer technologies and you want to shift, you do an entire rework. And by the time when you do it, the people in the organization, it's not the same. You got new people and educate the new people with the new logic, the existing logic, try to go and find out, re-engineer. There are so much things that is involved. So that's one of the key reasons to make sure to have no code or low code solutions. Let's talk about the real features that is needed, that are needed, when you really get into the tools. So number one, called data exchange, okay, data exchange, there are numerous tools available in the market to give a data exchange. So what should I ask? Make sure, you have a complete features like data migration, integration, bulk data load, big data support, data archival, built-in data reconciliation, and data cleansing features, and mass load, as well as the real-time integration support. So make sure when it comes to data exchange, you have support for all, so that you will be able to satisfy all your data exchange needs within the organization. The second piece on this is predefined connection adapters. So it is necessary to have the predefined connection adapters, and especially the data adapters, to many source systems available in the market. Failure to have a predefined connection adapters will make the developers to go and do with workarounds what they have, what they could think of. and that would end up in resulting an inefficient way of doing a data exchange. When the tool have a native adapters connection to a respective data sets or tools that it needs to connect, that's going to add advantage. That's going to reduce your time in terms of building any data exchange models or any data model that you're going to build within the organization. And then the next piece is on the data quality and remediation. The first question that we are supposed to ask is, hey, do you have a standard data quality checks? Can I get at least the standard quality checks done out of the box for the data that I have, right? It could be a master data, it could be transactions, it could be any domain, right? So there are hundreds and hundreds of domains right now available in the market. But do I have a standard quality checks on the data that I have? Because most of the tools that comes, they provide options to configure the rules, but who's going to configure is a big question mark. So having standard quality checks as an out-of-the-box solution is going to help you to speed up your process. And obviously, every business might have their own business needs, which is definitely required to get features like configurable business rules so that they can add those configurations apart from the built-in features that is going to be coming as part of the data cleansing and remediation tools. We talked about data quality and remediation. So remediation is another important feature within the data quality side. So make sure the tools that we choose has built-in user experience, or it also provides another options to export and import the data that needs to be cleansed, as well as the cleansed data. And having a built-in capability of doing the remediation on the fly is again a key when it comes to data qualities, especially the ongoing data cleansing and maintenance of the data quality. This data quality and remediation is again a huge topic. I'm sure our changes, folks are going to cover up in the live sessions in the next couple of days. So I would just leave that options for them they'll have a hands-on experience on showcase how all this entire data quality actually work. The next is data enrichment. What is data enrichment, and which is different from quality, right? So data enrichment is an options like integrating with DNB or Google API to etc. to make sure the data can be enriched automatically by the system rather than waiting for a confirmation or waiting for a new rules to be applied on the tool. So having built-in natures within the tools is going to again speed up your process of getting the good and complete data, which can be given to the data analytics and the data scientists. The next important and a great feature, the question that we need to ask for the tools, especially when we do for the governance, it's about the active metadata management. Traditionally, if you go back to the history, people design their own system. They create the data dictionaries, keep it in a document, right? So you keep it a Word or an Excel or PDF, keep it in silos. So now when you consolidate the data into one location, clean and cleanse, you have to have active metadata management, because your data is not going to stay as is. It's going to evolve over a period of time. So even the metadata is going to change completely over a period of time, and it's going to be a constant change. So nowadays, you don't have to sit and enrich your data dictionaries and data in relationship diagrams manually. So make sure all this automation capabilities are available within the data active metadata management area, where systems can scan and identify the metadata on its own, finding out the entity relationships, the data lineage, and the data tagging. And it should also provide a good user interface to make sure to have a collaborative approach, to have a quick discussion with the data stewards and data owners, etc., along with the business glossary. So this business glossary is going to really enrich anybody within the organizations to understand about the data, because most of the time when the system scans the data, it's all the technical metadata that is going to be presented in the user interface layers. So make sure the business glossary is available, which is going to be understandable by the entire organization, And the centralization of all this is going to help to, have a high literacy within the organization about the data as well. The next one is the data governance, right? So in terms of usability, the metadata management, data security, and data quality, with the help of user-friendly interfaces, and data stewards and data owners plays a major role in when it comes to the governance piece of when it comes to the implementation of the governance piece using the tools. The moment we talk about the data governance, data security is also going to be part of it. So make sure the tools and services, whatever we are going to use, have the data masking, pseudonymization, and the data anonymization, and the data compliance features, like, it should directly support your PII, GDPR, CCPA. There are a bunch of others like FTC, GLP. There are so many, compliance regulations available in the market. So make sure the data security features that actually able to support those upfront. Then it comes to data visualization with predictive and prescriptive analysis. And of course, as you all know, there are so many, products available within the market, but make sure it just fits according to your organization needs. But bare minimum, it should support prescriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics and on the visualization side of it. The last two areas that I'd like to point out is the automated testing tool and the rapid application builder. Because what happens with a data testing tool, I mean, people do have testing tool, but some other organizations, they feel, oh, I'm doing a manual testing. It's okay to continue. But the investment that you're going to make on the automated data testing tool, it's definitely going to yield a long-term results in terms of cost and efficiency. You don't have to retest manually every time when you do any changes in terms of your data. Whenever you change the data, but not the structure. Obviously, there is going to be some kind of maintenance that's going to be part of the data testing tool, but in a long term, it's going to yield you lost of cost efficiency. The rapid application builder, it's an other thing which we should definitely ask for. One of the reasons is because not all the business needs can be guaranteed. Can be guaranteed by the tools and services that are available in the market, to satisfy any custom design or specific requirements related to the business needs should be quickly able to build by these application builder, relying on the old conventional way of designing my UI and having an UX developer investment on having a backend developer to do it in a traditional way. It's again going to eat up your time and cost and money, energy. Rather, investing in the tools like this is going to ease all your needs, and it is a step-by-step process. It is not easy, but if you follow one step at a time, and it's going to completely yield a big results in a long term. It's just almost 40 minutes, so I'm going to pass here for any open questions or comments.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Phil, for that. Let me ask the audience questions. So the first question that I have here is, what are the current challenges that one may find in identifying the right tools? And what is your suggestion?
Okay, so it's a great question. So what happens in today's world is like people are not finding all the solutions in one tool. So they keep buying new products. So, hey, I have data exchange, I buy one. I have a data analytical need, I buy another product. And I have a data security requirement, I go and buy another one. I have a data catalog. Oh, this seems to be nice, I'm buying another one. And at the end of the day, what they really feel and felt is integrating all these things, it becomes a big mess. Rather than it becomes a big challenge. So one side you are dealing with your distributed data management, that is available, and it becomes really challenging to consolidate and enrich and stuff. On the other hand, managing these tools and integrating the data with these tools at the right time, and one side it takes time, and the other hand it costs money, and on the other hand you are putting a lot of efforts in managing these tools, all these tools, right? And you have to make sure that if you want really to get a real-time, predictive and prescriptive analysis, and if you want to make a real-time decisions, all these tools needs to be synced at real time. That's again another challenge, right? So the recommendation is to make sure, try to have at least one-stop solution, so that you just concentrate. You don't have to worry about integrating all these tools. That tool will take care of exchanging data between all these systems, which is going to save a lot of time for you in future. And that's exactly the where place changes is actually we have spent entire 2 decades more investing our time and energy in building such tools. So in the last, the next 2 days, I know there are many topics are going to be covered. There are many live working sessions that we are going to conduct. That's going to help you guys to at least understand what we have and how it is going to really help you to have just look for one-stop solution for all your needs. I hope that answers your question.
The next question I have from the audience is, so data cleansing versus data governance. Which is the order in which organizations should implement?
Oh, it's interesting. To me, it is a parallel activity. Okay. Because data governance starts with data cleansing. To do a data cleansing, consolidation, again, it's going to be one more prerequisite, right? So it's, collecting the data that's going to be the first step, and then cleansing it. And sometimes you might be confused that, guys, I have my organization is using 5 different systems. I have an ERP, I have another CRM tool, I have a HCM tool separate. Where do I go and cleanse the data? So first and foremost, what we would recommend is to make sure you have a cleansed master data. What it means is have one single source of truth for all your master data needs, which is going to drive all your transactional data, so that your transactional data by default, it's going to be to an extent clean. Of course, there's other things that you need to take care, but keeping your master data clean is going to help you. So how do you keep? Number one priority is to have single source of truth for your master data. That is the starting point of your governance. So it's all interlinked, but it has to be start in parallel and go hand in hand in parallel within the organization.
Okay, thank you. The next question I have here is, please say more about AI and ML as it relates to the ChainSys roadmap. Does ChainSys have plans to embed more AI and ML into their platform, and how?
Absolutely. And ChainSys as a tool, within our platform, we have a complete, suite for the data visualization, which has all the predictive, prescriptive analysis. We invested so much of time and energy on the AI, and we already released a lot of features as part of the ML and AI. There are a lot of things on the roadmaps as well. I'm pretty sure that's going to get covered in the next couple of days. There are multiple sessions. Our team will be talking about the details on what we have, and there are clear roadmap that are laid for every point that I discussed here, not just for AI and machine learning, but all the aspects that I have discussed here. We have a huge roadmap that is laid out for the entire ChainSys platform to grow, to have a consistent growth. We grown over a period of 20 years. We still feel we are growing up every quarter we are releasing new features on every bits of information. For example, data quality, we are releasing features, data exchange, and we are also new features on the data visualization area, like what you asked for, artificial intelligence, as well as on the ML area.
Okay, last question I have. For any data-driven model example, people always give examples of Google, Amazon, and all bigger companies. What would you suggest for small companies? Do you think small companies also need to invest in this approach? If yes, then what would be an efficient way?
Got it. Okay, this is great and challenging, right? Of course, the examples of what you see on the market are the proven examples. right? And of course, they are, giants. Yes, great. But to specific, to answer to your question specifically, the answer is yes, they should invest. But how much? It depends on how much, what size they are in. We have to be very, very careful. See, please open up your eyes. The market is flooded with now a lot of cloud solutions, which is way cheaper than going with on-prem solutions. And for a smaller companies, it's going to cost them pretty less compared with taking all your headaches, right? You don't have to go with the traditional approach of having my own big IT team, having my own database, my own, this tool sets on all the aspects that I was talking with. You will be able to get all these, things cheaper in cloud to start with. And, please remember, taking a first step is much better than taking no steps. So start investing. The answer is definitely yes. And start looking for a good tool, be available in the cloud, and start investing one step at a, start taking one step at a time, which will eventually, going to improve your business, and satisfy your customers in the long run.
I thank you so much, Philip, for your amazing presentation and answering those questions. I don't have any other questions so far. We can give it a minute to wait and see if anyone else have questions. If not, we can end the presentation here. Okay, so it looks like nobody has any other questions. Again, thank you so much, Philip, and thank you for everyone that has joined today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your support.